So this morning I was reading a book. Let's transfer this down to the phone. This morning I was reading a book on Black women's mental health, and there was a quote in the book that really stood out. And she said that rage is a necessary part of healing and arriving at inner peace. And when I first read the quote, obviously my brain starts going like 15 different places. But what the quote sparked in me was what happens within the so-called Black community when we receive information that is contrary to what we were told in the past. The proper term for that would be cognitive dissonance. When you receive information, it conflicts with previous information and it forces you to make a choice. You make the choice to either stay with the previous information, even if you know that's a lie, but because it's further truth. And I thought about how for a lot of people, especially the so-called Black person, African American, as they begin to transition into learning more about Black excellence and what people did in the past, whether it was in the Hebrew community or the genius of the Egyptians or the Moors or whoever, it creates a particular amount of anger and agitation that really true growth and restoration within the community. But I like that in this book, it talks about how that is a necessary step, but that's not the final step. And as we're gathering and acquiring knowledge, we are supposed to be gathering that knowledge to heal and to reverse curses and not to perpetuate or generate new traumas within our community. And we can see it in how, as people gain knowledge, it becomes oppressive to other demographics, even within the so-called Black community, whether it's women or children, and it's done in a way to regain control, but then that regaining of control spirals out of control, causing negative effects in subsequent generations. So what I want to kind of focus on is, as we're gaining information and learning new things, to properly process the information that we're acquiring, especially information as it pertains to oppression, suppression of truth, as it pertains to systematic racism, that as we are learning about these things, that we're not just harboring them as the truths of society, but we're looking at those different intricacies that kind of will definitely affect us, but then finding ways and solutions to navigate around those things in a proper manner. Solomon in Ecclesiastes 1, chapter 1, verse 18, around that area, states that much wisdom brings sorrow, and knowledge, I'm paraphrasing, brings weariness to the soul. Because oftentimes the more we know about something, the harder it is to find the simple joys in things around us. And it is still our responsibility to not only have joy, because there's a joy of our existence and our salvation and the impending redemption and the phases of redemption as we begin to restore our community. There's joy in that. But there is also the necessity of living peaceably amongst those, even the ones who cause the discomfort, because it's our rage as people, especially as the so-called Black people, is very, very threatening to the powers that be. And so often we want to exert our power and our force, which is definitely a thing. But in exerting our power and our force, we are putting our, and if we decide to build and to advance and to heal, as we've done in the past as a community, Black Wall Street. Here we have Allensworth, which was a city that was also like Black Wall Street, destroyed by Europeans. They cut off water to the city. But how do we teach our young people that there is opposition, but also how to circumnavigate it, and that when, not if, but when the opposition arises, or when we experience setbacks, how to continue to push forward? That is so much more important than just highlighting the existence of an oppressor or of an opposition, but showing you how to navigate around that oppression. I'll also state this. I believe that in this time, as communities begin to come together under the rules, regulations, and commandments of the Most High, that a lot of the opposition that so easily beset the so-called Black people, the Hebrews' ability in this country to progress, I think will diminish a lot. But that also comes from us realizing that our main opposition is our disobedience. And once we surrender and submit, we have an ally in the Creator of heaven and earth. And as we begin to move forward and do things, the fruit of our hand and our labor is said, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, the first part, that the fruit of our hands and our labor will prosper. And I think we experience prosperity because we are exceptional, but we were not able to maintain autonomy and prosperity because there necessitates the return back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High before you can be in a position of autonomy from oppressors. So I think that's really important. I know a lot of people are gathering information and reading and learning, and that is wonderful. But do not let the acquisition of knowledge and the inquisition into history stifle your ability to heal yourself first and then your community, and bring peace and prosperity and restore back what was ours. Shalom.